Hello and good evening. Activities have been very involving across the industry as far as all the streams of the oil and gas sector have been able to report so far, but somehow every of these issues and successes get down to the downstream. NNPC's Grand Master Agency at the downstream is being charged to look up to 30% market shares by 2020. At the Pengassan Talk Shop where this was espoused, there were other related issues which we have packaged in this edition, and the details. OPEC Secretary General took a trip to Angola, and expectedly a matter that concerns us about oil production and market stability came up. Some other in-between issues featured, and they are all down to the details. Thanks for sharing your Sunday evening with us. My name is Akin Agbejule. This is Oil and Gas Forum.
The regime is good, based on for so many years. Whenever the years is coming to an end, all over the country will be problem of fuel, but now there's nothing like that, so we say we appreciate.
No panic to buy fuel for black market. NNPC go bring fuel for all motorists.
NNPC say them get fuel jabrata for ground. Saboteur. All of una wey dey thief with fuel and petroleum station wey dey hot smuggle and divert our fuel go neighboring country. Plus people wey dey build small tank and sell fuel pass our government price of 145 naira per litre. Stop am o. Because why? Na big offense now. Na jail straight away. NNPC say our government no increase fuel price, na still 145 naira per litre. So therefore, no buy black market, no do panic buying. Enough fuel dey wey go round. Nigerians, if you see any petrol station where they sell fuel pass our government price of 145 naira per litre, kia report to the nearest security agency when near you or the Department of Petroleum Resources. Na Ndu Ohamado, Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division, NNPC, signed this message.
Let's share the highlights. 30% of market share by 2020 is the target of the matching orders handed to NNPC Retail. Now that's the result of hard work, more hard work, and the recent cooperation agreement that has engendered market stability is not being taken for granted. OPEC Secretary General took time to give commendation to one of those to whom it is due. We got the details. The Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Dr. Mekanti Baru, has assured of adequate petroleum product supply in Lagos and its environs, despite a fire outbreak which occurred in the wee hours of Wednesday, 19th December, from a portion of the vandalized NNPC pipeline at Abule Egba in Lagos. A release in Abuja by NNPC Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs, Ndu Amadu, stated that Dr. Baru had directed the Nigerian Pipelines and Storage Company, NPSC, a subsidiary of the corporation, to carry out a full investigation of the incident and undertake immediate repairs of the affected part of the vandalized pipelines. The statement said that the NNPC GMD had effectively put in place strategies to ensure that the unfortunate incident would not undermine product supplies during the festive period. It said Dr. Barrow disclosed that NNPC had enough stock of premium motor spirit, PMS, otherwise called petrol, and other products, adding that the company's petrol stock would last about 45 days, even in the absence of fresh supplies, advising members of the public not to engage in panic buying. Mr. Ouamadou said the National Oil Company's GMD commiserated with the families of the victims of the fire incident, admonishing that Nigerians should keep away from the corporation's pipelines.
The Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Dr. Mekanti Baru, has charged the corporation's downstream company, NNPC Retail, to increase its current 14% market share to 30% by 2020. Speaking during the first triennial delegates conference of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengassan's NNPC Retail branch in Abuja, Dr. Baru stated that the charge was an assignment that must be accomplished. Dr. Baru stated that NNPC was determined to ensure that the prevailing availability of petroleum products across the country was sustained as arrangements have reached advanced stage to acquire more landed property in Abuja and across the states to build more NNPC retail outlets.
The target I gave of 30% by 2020 must be achieved. In fact, what I expect is for you to do better than that. But we'll give you every support. We'll free you to run as a retail outfit.
Chairman of the occasion, Dr. Jackson Gaius Obaseki, who is a former group managing director of NNPC, described the National Oil Company as an accountable and transparent going concern, saying nothing should deter it from sustaining its core values. The former NNPC GMD stated that the current management of the corporation deserved commendation for public accountability, pitched against its periodic and prompt reporting of the company's operations and financial transactions. Dr. Gaius Obaseki, who is also the chairman of Brass LNG, listed the NNPC core values to include transparency, integrity and accountability, which he explained must be reflected in all the company's dealings with its stakeholders across the industry value chain.
Top management led by Dr. Barrow must be commended for bringing to currency the books of NNPC business units. This is reflective of what used to be. This must be sustained as NNPC business performance should be reported as stipulated in enabling statutes and legislation.
Dr. Gaius Obaseki stated that the decision to establish the NNPC retail in 2002 had yielded result, with the NNPC mega stations across the country servicing the petroleum needs of the people, noting that unlike the situation in the past, Nigerians now enjoy fuel availability through the effort of the NNPC Retail Limited. He charged the union to be focused in their relationship with management to enable both parties work efficiently for the benefit of Nigerians. In his presentation, entitled NNPC Retail Limited, Yesterday, Today and Tomorrow, guest speaker Mr. Adeyemi Adetunji, Managing Director of NNPC Retail Limited, said the company was moving from a cost center to profit-making entity. Mr. Adetunji assured the Group Managing Director of NNPC that his company would hit the 30% market share target set by the corporation's helmsman.
This plan, like we said, is about expanding our footprints, is about ensuring that our growth, we are not growing for the sake of growth, but we are growing in a profitable manner. So NNPC Retail must ensure it returns at the end of every year positive bottom line and make profits to the corporation.
In the same vein, Pengasson President Comrade Francis Johnson assured that union members will be encouraged to assist the NNPC retail management in achieving its target, pointing out that the NNPC retail has continued to serve as a vehicle of intervention in the market during periods of emergency and avoidable supply interruptions.
We assure the NNPC management under the able leadership of Dr. Mekanti Barrow that we encourage our members to ensure that the 2020 mandate given to NNPC retail, in brackets, that is, the company should capture 20% of the market share by year 2020, is achieved.
Pengasson NNPC retail branch chairman, Comrade Baba Shetima Kukawa, thanked NNPC retail management for providing the enabling environment for the union to flourish, pledging the continuous support of the group to the company. He appreciated the GMD and other NNPC top management for their support and assured that NNPC retail under his watch would continue to work hard towards delivering on the mandates.
We wish to extend our profound appreciation to the top management of NNPC, the board of NNPC Retail, the management of NNPC Retail, for all that they have done to ensure improved staff welfare at NNPC Retail and the growth of the business in general.
Secretary General of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, Dr. Sanusi Barkindo, has commended Angola on his role in the recent cooperation agreement with OPEC and non-OPEC countries on oil production and market stability. Dr. Bakindo gave the commendation in a meeting with the Angolan President, His Excellency João Manuel Goncalves Lourenço, and Minister of Mineral Resources and Petroleum, Dr. Diamantino Pedro Alvedo, during a visit to the country recently. Dr. Bakindo commended the President on the positive impact of his reforms on the country. The Secretary General, who expressed OPEC's readiness to extend any assistance that could be useful to Angola in the development of its petroleum industry, also paid a courtesy visit to the British Petroleum BP, where he had an engagement with the Chief Executive Officer of the company, Mr. Bob Dudley. Angola is Africa's second largest crude oil producer after Nigeria, with a daily output of 1.5 million barrels per day. The House of Representatives Committee on Petroleum Downstream has affirmed the stockpile of petroleum products by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC), noting that the corporation has enough product to satisfy demands in the festive season and the months ahead. Addressing a press conference in Abuja, Chairman of the committee, Honorable Joseph Akinlaja, said the committee went beyond the routine assurance of product availability by the corporation to confirm from independent channels that the nation presently has enough storage of fuel.
They had sufficient fuel that could last for now, for in the first instance, for 52 days, which is almost 2 months, and that they have other cargoes on water, that will come in immediately there is haulage and there is space in the tanks.
The House Committee Chairman implored petroleum marketers, especially members of the Depot and Petroleum Product Marketers Association of Nigeria, DAPMAN, to sheath their sword and embrace dialogue in the ongoing negotiation with government on outstanding subsidy payments.
That DAPMAN should give a chance to this peaceful accord and see whether the government will pay as they have promised. I also urge the government not to allow the promise to snap.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has assured petroleum product consumers across the country not to engage in panic buying, as it holds 2.6 billion liters of premium motor spirit, otherwise called petrol, and 90,000 metric tons of dual-purpose kerosene, saying the holding is expected to last 52 days, assuming no single drop of product is imported from now. The corporation said the purported shutdown of operations by depots and Petroleum Products Marketers Association of Nigeria (DAPMAN) would not affect product distribution, as NNPC has ordered all its depots across the country and those of bulk purchase marketers it recently entered agreements with to undertake a 24-hour operations to avert any shortages in product distribution in the country. The NNPC spokesperson Ndu Amadu advised members of the public to report to offices of the Departments of Petroleum Resources (DPR) across the state any fuel stations which attempt to take advantage of the situation to inflate product price, saying that the price of PMS remains 145 naira per litre. The federal government has expressed its readiness to work hand in hand with the National Assembly to ensure the passage of the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill, PIGB. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo made this known at the opening ceremony of the 18th International Health, Safety and Environment HSE Biennial Conference on the Nigerian oil and gas industry, organized by the Department of Petroleum Resources in Lagos. Professor Osinbajo disclosed that final touches were being made on the bill at the National Assembly level to adjust for gaps identified on the version hitherto passed by the legislators.
The usual legislative track is also there in terms of compliance. Renewals that have been done subject to gas, all kinds of gas projects, so you must capture most of those. Cleanups in those areas.
He said no discussion about the future of the oil and gas can be divorced from the Petroleum Industry Bill, PIB, which represents the most ambitious and comprehensive reform in decades of the exploitation of oil and gas in Nigeria. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has said that the well-being of its staff and the needs to keep them in good health for enhanced productivity are the key drivers of its commitment to sports. The Group Managing Director of NNPC, Dr. Mekanti Barrow, disclosed this while teeing off the 2018 NNPC Downstream Golf Tournament at the Kaduna Golf Course. He said the corporation understood the connection between good health and productivity, as well as the place of sports in enhancing both, stressing that it was the reason NNPC encouraged its staff to participate in sporting activities.
We believe that a sound mind in a healthy body is always an asset to the corporation. When we have our staff that have good exercise, they are more alert, they are more productive.
Dr. Barry noted that in spite of his busy schedule, he found it expedient to personally participate in every tournament the corporation was invited to in order to encourage staff to participate. He commended the captain and management of the Kaduna Golf Course for the judicious use of its resources while pledging the corporation's support. On his part, Chairman Board of Trustees of the club, Emir of Birnin Gwari, Malam Jibrin Zubar, expressed gratitude to the NNPC for its support to the Kaduna Golf Club.
We support such organizations that give life to our society. At the moment, we can't afford to just neglect or look aside. NNPC is the brain, the engine room for of the support, financial and otherwise, for this country. So we cannot we are behind NNPC. We'll support them anywhere, anytime.
Good evening. You're welcome to another enlightening edition of the feedback segment of the program. My name is Julia Auta. We're glad to have you join us. In this festive season, there's going to be a lot of cooking at homes, eateries, and relaxation spots. This will lead to higher demands of liquefied petroleum gas, which is known as cooking gas. On today's edition, we bring to you the safety measures to observe in order to avoid the incidences of fire outbreak occasioned by the use of cooking gas.
Gas cooker, don't on your gas cooker when you are going to pick up matches or lighter. It's not good.
I made sure that the gas burner itself is far away from where the cylinder is, where it's safe. And use of mobile phones is very dangerous, so I tell them to avoid using phones.
You have to be checking your pipe because it has happened to me. Sometimes the pipe will be roasted from the mouth of the pipe. Sometimes those pipe, there's a place, something will puncture it. It will be leaking, you might not know. It's not leaking from the mouth, it's not leaking from this table. It's from the hose.
You need to be conscious of the kind of cylinder you got from the market. That's the truth. Any cylinder that is not being approved by standard organization, which is SUN, that cylinder is not fit for gas to get inside.
You don't carry your gas cooker and be shaking. It's very, very dangerous. It might explode. And number two, the use of phone is not encouraging, especially while you are cooking. You don't get close to your gas cooker and be using your phone to call.
If you live in an apartment, you keep your cylinder outside. There are even now regulators, special cooking gas regulators. If your hose gets caught, it automatically cuts off the gas from supplying. When you are in the kitchen, you don't use the phone. And when there's no light, you don't use the light of the phone because it could ring and you'll be tempted to pick it. So why don't you just keep your phone? When you finish cooking, you use it.
To be forewarned is to be forearmed. Safety first. And that's it on this segment. Please stay with us for the rest of the program.
Hello! Glad to have you join us on yet another informative segment of the program. I am Abigail Ojobo. Did you know that crude oil is measured in barrels, which are each equivalent to 42 gallons? Did you know that 1 barrel of oil accounts for about 19.15 gallons of gasoline, 9.21 gallons of diesel, 3.82 gallons of jet fuel, 1.75 gallons of heating oil, and about 7.3 gallons for other petrochemical products like tar, asphalt and bitumen? Did you know that in January 2017, there were 1.665 trillion barrels of oil in the world? That is enough to last another 50 years, since the world uses 90.5 million barrels per day. Did you also know that Nigeria is amongst the top 12 countries of the world with the world's largest proven oil reserves, with 37.1 billion oil reserves? Now you know. Please don't go away, the rest of the program continues.
Hello and welcome to Global Crude Oil Outlook. Oil prices fell more than 4% Friday, hitting their lowest in more than a year on worries about oversupply and the outlook for energy demand as a U.S. interest rate rise knocked stock markets. Brent crude futures dropped $2.60 or 4.5% to a low of $54.64 a barrel, its lowest since September 2017. U.S. West Texas Intermediate WTI crude futures fell $2.35 a barrel or 4.9% to a low of $45.82 before recovering a little to around $46.50. Both major oil futures contracts rallied sharply Wednesday, but are now at or close to their lowest levels for over 15 months, more than 30% below multi-year highs reached at the beginning of October. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and other oil producers, including Russia, agreed this month to curb output by 1.2 million barrels per day in an attempt to drain tanks and boost prices. But the cut will not happen until next month, and production has been at or near record highs in the United States, Russia, and Saudi Arabia. Saudi Energy Minister Khalid Al-Falih said they expected global oil stocks to fall by the end of the first quarter, but added that the market remained vulnerable to political and economic factors as well as speculations. OPEC plans to release a table detailing voluntary output cut quotas for its members and allies, such as Russia, in an effort to shore up prices, OPEC Secretary General Mohammed Barkindo said. U.S. crude inventories fell by 497,000 barrels in the week to December 14, the U.S. Energy Information Administration said, smaller than the decrease of 2.4 million barrels analysts had expected. Distillate stockpiles, which include diesel and heating oil, dropped by 4.2 million barrels, the EIA said. And that's it on this segment of the program. I am Solomon Yopeyu.
Top management led by Dr. Barrow must be commended for bringing to currency the books of NNPC business units. This is reflective of what used to be. This must be sustained.
That's been the program for this week, the package of a peculiar week at that. On behalf of NNPC, Merry Christmas, Nigeria.